So we really rely on this group and would love to see even more people come aboard and support us as we move forward. We got a lot of work still left to do. And also individual supporters as well. We're really fortunate that a number of people maybe have moved from between companies or whatever, but they still want to stay on the board and they continue to support us, which is great. We've created a new class of sort of board member. We're calling it emeritus because we've been around for a while. Even though we've been in business for 5 years, 6 years as a nonprofit, we've actually been meeting here in Williamsburg for 10 years. And I tell you, every organization, you can always go back in time and say, you know what, it's successful today because it's standing on the shoulders of giants. And that's exactly our story. Jim Ukrop and some alumni event with Tom Franz 10 years ago drew on the back of a napkin this mega region concept. I'm still trying to find that napkin. I want to frame it somehow, but thank you, Tom. And Jim is now part of this inaugural class of emeritus directors. Harry Lester and Alan Witt, you guys, a lot of y'all know them. They're from the Hampton Roads market, but they were there early on when it was just 25 of us CEOs meeting in Williamsburg and some of the organizations like our PDCs. And they were there encouraging us. And Alan said, let me keep the books for you. And Harry was the head of EVMS, but just real leaders saying, we got to do this, we got to do this. And then John Reinhardt stepped up and said, I'm running the Port Authority. Why don't we help out this little fledgling independent marine terminal right up in Richmond and see if we can't pull them into our big system and do something. And I mentioned this morning, the rest is history because of John's leadership. And then Robert Holsworth, everybody knows Bob. He has been terrific as a strategist behind the scenes and helping me with research. So these are individuals that we want to celebrate as our first class. So let's just have a round of applause for them. And everybody in this room knows Dubby, and he was there at the very beginning too. And he would call me and encourage me. He would give us money. He was just there from the onset. We've celebrated him before, but when I put up those other gentlemen, I just said, wait a minute, we got to make sure we still honor this great, great giant. So please applaud for Dubby. And so we got to keep going. So we have new directors to announce, and we've had 2 waves of this for 2025, but I'm just going to take you through this first group. In March, we brought on Dr. Michael Dacey with Riverside. Michael, you here? I think I saw him earlier this morning. Okay. And then Tony Cortinas. I know I was sitting next to Tony. Wave your hand, Tony. He's with Marathon Consulting. And then John Riley with Luck. And, Luck is kind of in the data center business too. 10% of their work is helping to support data centers with construction materials. And then moving down the back half here, Peter Coyne. I know Peter's here. He's with the Old Dominion Group, brand new trustee. And then Joe Petticourt. He's with J.P. Morgan, kind of a sizable bank. And then Brad Salter with Retro AIM. And then Amber Tillman with Google. And so these are our new directors. So everybody, round of applause, please. Welcoming them aboard. One of the things we don't talk about enough is another sort of our secret sauce. It's called the Mega Region Institutional Council. And it's co-chaired by our 2 Bryans, by the Hampton Roads Chamber and by Chamber RVA. And this was the conceit early on is like, we got this board, but we got to make sure we understand the pulse of what's going on in both markets. So you see that parallel structure, and these guys really bring to our executive committee what's happening. And when we talk about new ideas, like when we did that research survey and we said, what about all these? We said, we got to make sure that the mic participates and we get that input so we can look at that data compared to our board data, and parenthetically, it was exactly the same, what our priorities should be. But thank you, Brian and Brian. You guys stay with us, and you're on our executive committee, and you make sure that all these organizations are giving us input all the time, which is great. So now I'm going to go even faster with a rocket docket update on some of the things that we accomplished. I usually do a top 10 list, but I don't think we have enough time to go through all of them. But we really updated our bylaws. Sarah Jane Kirkland and Moses Foster, big lift this year. So now our bylaws reflect exactly how we run. And we created a performance dashboard comparing ourselves to other mega regions. We're still perfecting this, but we compare ourselves to metro areas and mega regions across 20 different scores. And we want to share with you next year how we're going up or down, hopefully not down, but how we're doing from a competitive standpoint, because we're in competition, guys. And then Trail 757, we rebranded them and helped them to move away from the boat name, the boat trail. trail and call themselves Trail 757. And everybody's focused on the 250th, and we got to get this segment done from Jamestown to Williamsburg where the Capitol Trail comes in. So in working with Trail 757 and some of the leaders there, we said, let's cut a deal with the Virginia Capitol Trail because they're in the trail business. They've built this great facility all the way to Jamestown from Richmond. Let's let them focus on this last group and fundraise together. And so now the Virginia Capitol Trail has hired a full-time fundraiser. I think Will might be here today. So we are really cheering them on as we try to now focus on the other side when the two pathways, but really on the Peninsula Trail, working with all the cities. And the PDC, Hampton Roads PDC, has really been taking a leadership role in this as well. And I know I'm leaving out a lot of names, but this goes on, and we're getting traction, which is good. And then our virtual spotlights, I know a lot of you guys tune in. We have this the first Wednesday of every month at noon. Please give us some more ideas so we can feature innovations that are happening. We've had a great, stellar year. Greg has been a tremendous asset, Greg Gilligan, in running this. If you like that glass of water that can power the world, you ought to tune in. Go to our webinar series, and you can click on the most popular one we've ever done, which is on fusion power, and pass that along. But it's a whole hour just on explaining it and how it works. It's fascinating. And the work goes on. Coming up here on December 3rd, we're going to focus on this sort of the next generation of a Henrico-based firm on how they put copper in our clothing, and it really helps with biomedics. I mean, it's a phenomenal innovation. I think we first saw it working in that coal mine disaster, and they put socks down in there and saved the guys trapped in there. So anyway, what I really want y'all to do is look at this as a valuable way to showcase everything that's happening across our mega region. So we need your ideas. Don't hesitate to email us or call us and say, here's another innovation that we should tackle. And we try to split it between both regions, 757 and RVA. Speaking of that, we were honored to be invited to Portugal to Atlantic Convergence, which is an international digital infrastructure conference of investors and the big hyperscalers, the big investors, all trying to say, how do we make the Atlantic Basin the hotspot in the world in digital technology and infrastructure? And so we were invited to speak and paired up with the Iberian Peninsula because the leadership, the thought leadership of this conference is saying, you too are the product of nearby regions, nearby cities working together to be a global internet hub. And the message out of that conference was it's too big now, the internet, where we have to go with AI. We have to team up. And so when they learned about us, they said, you guys have shown us a new model. Not only are companies teaming up, but nearby cities team up. So I love that. In fact, if we're going to be recognized across the planet and hailed as a great example, it pays off our poster. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to say, look at us. We're doing something different. We're bold. We were pretty bold with the General Assembly, too. We advanced that argument of it's more than data centers last January, February in the last session. And it takes work to do that. We have to coordinate with all the other organizations that our message is on strategy, and our message is about it's digital infrastructure, not just data centers. So we put together a web presence, a lot of materials, and shared it with our partners and used it as the base camp. We briefed JLARC for 2.5 hours. They did a big report on data centers, and we were there before saying, think about this in a bigger picture standpoint. We reached out to all the General Assembly members and sent them our map, sent them a lot of letters. We went and met one-on-one, pushed out information digitally, did everything we could to tell the story. We got earned media, and then we had 2 op-eds that appeared at the perfect time right during the session, and we copied these up and then made sure they were all in everybody's inbox across the General Assembly. So this is our quiet advocacy. We're not lobbying for any one bill. We're advocating for what this conference is about. Like, don't blow it. We've got to keep going with this advantage that we have. This is something that really, now we're going to start calling it our leapfrog strategy. This really can be our economic advantage. So where are we headed in 2026? Well, we got to keep this story going. I think the General Assembly in January, February, you're going to see more bills than you can keep track of on data centers and energy. It's just going to be the topic, and we're going to see you nodding your head. It's going to be all in for us on trying to explain to them this is a bigger picture. And so we have been building a website, the Global Internet Hub Committee, that we're going to launch to all of the jurisdictions as a really A to Z information bureau on how to get to A to B. So what we're talking about, if you're thinking about data centers or digital infrastructure, why it's important, how to do it. We've got expert articles on there. We borrowed one from Chris Lloyd about how to overcome NIMBYism. But this is really going to be a workman's website repository that we hear people crying for. And so we're going to keep adding to it and adding to it, but it's going to be a one-stop shop for information on that. And then we're going to continue to make direct briefings to everybody. We're going to use our new vision map. We're going to stay aligned to our key messages, which is a bigger story than just data center and energy. It really is about economic development, and really support this. Don't restrict it. And then we're going to run a series of videos, and I'm going to share them with you real quick, but we're working on these to run these, and we use them in our one-on-one briefings, but also run them and push them in social media, geofencing them around certain areas that we think are really important. And just take a look. But this is our work in progress, but it's how we're telling a bigger story that you got to think differently about data centers. It really is an entire industry that it's supporting, even beyond the data center. Take a look.
Data centers are just one part of Virginia's growing digital infrastructure ecosystem that sparks ripple effects throughout the economy by adding new jobs, fueling innovation, and driving growth across the state. In this series, we're taking a look at the people and businesses that lead them.
Colonial Web, we provide the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing services within the large-scale data centers. 2024, we added approximately 600 new teammates, from office professionals, craft trade professionals. The skills that they're learning that are transferable and the wages are substantial. To me, this journey is not just about building for today, but it's also contributing to a sustainable, connected world that Virginia is leading, and I want to be the one to keep leading it.
Data centers are just one part of Virginia's growing digital infrastructure ecosystem that sparks ripple effects throughout the economy by adding new jobs, fueling innovation, and driving growth across the state. In this series, we're taking a look at the people and businesses that lead them.
So Acoustical Sheet Metal Company manufactures packaging for backup power. And that's making sure that if the lights go out, you have a generator there to power the data center and really get things back up and running in seconds. The best part of this journey has been the growth of our team. Back in February 2019, when I joined the company, we had just 100 employees. Today, we've grown to more than 650, and we're not stopping there. We're excited and proud that Acoustical Sheet Metal is expanding its footprint in Virginia Beach for the third time in 6 years. This time we're investing $50 million to grow our operations and create 350 new jobs. We believe that this industry is very robust. We play an important part in it, and that's what gets me up each morning, is to continue to reach for the stars.
Data centers are just one part of Virginia's growing digital infrastructure ecosystem that sparks ripple effects throughout the economy by adding new jobs, fueling innovation, and driving growth across the state. In this series, we're taking a look at the people and businesses that lead them.
My name is Randy Sadler. I'm the president and CEO of Weidmuller USA. The process of designing, building, and commissioning data centers remains extremely complex. It requires seamless integration across mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and digital systems. At Weidmuller USA, we focus on helping our partners accelerate deployment through pre-engineered modular systems, custom cable assemblies, automated panel build solutions, and IoT-ready platforms. In October of 2024, Weidmuller USA completed its Chesterfield County, Virginia engineering and production facility, adding an additional 24,000 square feet. This lets us localize assemblies and shorten lead times for North American builds. If you're looking for speed to market, ready to deploy solutions, Weidmuller USA is your partner.
So that's a glimpse of what we're trying to do with our messaging, but it's in concert with the Data Center Coalition that's talking about what are the benefits of this technology in terms of benefits to you as a consumer, as a resident. So we're trying to take the business argument, and then you're going to see some of the larger hyperscalers. You're already starting to see their advertising come out in a big way, Meta and Google. So we're all in this together, and we're trying to coordinate our messages to really move as fast as we can. And that brings me to why you guys are here today. We are actually going to build a plan out of this conference that we're going to inputs from you guys in the next session. We're going to make sure we take those notes back. We're going to work with the Global Internet Hub Committee, and we're going to put a plan together, and then we're going to share it back out with you. But we want to put this together in short order. We've got more work to do, and so we're calling it our 2.0 plan. You guys were here a couple of years ago when we first started really thinking about this and putting a plan together. Now it's time to update that. So that's the work just ahead of us. So that takes us to lunchtime. We're going to have lunch, but we want to also make it a networking time and then come back for table discussions. You guys got these white papers beforehand. So we said there are 5 topics, and now you can see the madness, the 5 different circles on the vision map. And so what we want you to do, you're at a table. There's an envelope there if you didn't bring a printout from home, and it's got a copy of it's just 2-sided, 1-pager, but it really puts into perspective the topic for each table. So each table is numbered 1 through 5, and you got these 5 topic papers. We also, in that, there's one section that's important as you brainstorm with your table. We got to make sure everybody keeps into perspective who RVA757 Connects is and what we can do and what our lane is. And so you'll see in there providing research-based insights, fostering collaboration, informing and advocating, and then aligning strategy and investment. So that's where we play, and we got some examples there, but we really want you to build on that. And we also have a question for each one of the breakout tables. So we want you to look at the last paragraph on all the papers and said, what is that question for you? So here's the immediate task. We're going to have a buffet lunch, and it's going to be a little madness if we all go at one time. So I want all the tables that are number 1 to go and get in the buffet line. Everybody else can start networking a little bit, but then